Zombieland Double Tap is directed by Ruben Fleischer. We were once again centered around Columbus, Tallahassee, and Wichita, who are on the lookout for Little Rock, who has gone MIA, while on their way encountering new survivors as well as evolved zombies. Going on to the director, Ruben Fleischer, he did the original film as well, so he's been around these actors before, and I could tell that, he did a good job in that film directing the actors then, and nothing's really changed now with that. I'd say that, if anything, what's changed is for the better, because it's been almost a decade since the original film, and all these actors have had a lot of experiences in other films, and so Fleischer did a good job at kind of drawing to the strengths of each actor personally, and bringing out that strength in all of them, and having it affect the characters that we already know. That's going on to the actors as well. The four actors from the original film, Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, and Abigail Breslin, they all did a really good job in this film. I just thought it was really cool that even though it's been so long since they did the original film, they were able to quickly get back in the character, and their personality really hasn't changed at all. If anything, it's changed really organically. To explain that, like, for example, Jesse Eisenberg's character Columbus, he's a little more cocky now, and rightfully so. It's been almost a decade, and he's got a girl now, and throughout this film you can kind of tell he's gotten a lot better at killing zombies, and so because of that, it makes sense that his character would be like that. Woody Harrelson's character, he's a little older now, and because of that, he's kind of like the older dad that is like overprotective, and so it makes sense that these people would act the same way, but also have these new qualities to them. So another thing that I like about this film is that they bring in new characters, like new survivors, which I also liked, because I thought that, in the original 2009 film, it was a good pace to have just the four characters. Whereas in this film, we already know these characters pretty well, and so because of that, there's no need to really explain any backstories anymore. It's time to just get the plot moving, and because of that, it leaves room to add new factors, and one of them being new survivors. Some I thought more interesting and fun than others, but it makes sense considering it's been so long they wouldn't be the only people left in Zombieland. Another new detail that I liked that they added to this film was classifications of zombies. Again, it's been so long since we've seen these characters, and it makes sense that at this point they would give different classifications for zombies, as well as bringing another thing that adds even more stakes to the movie is some zombies have evolved to be almost like zombies like World War Z. I won't get too into detail about that. I just think that these are like the right moves to make if you're gonna make a continuation of this series. So another thing that I thought the movie did a good job at was the zombie sequences, like the action sequences against them. I thought that there was creativity and there was variety, as well as purpose to those scenes. There's always a reason that was going on between like why they had to fight the zombies at that certain point in time, and I just feel like in other movies that I've seen, there will be horror sequences, but there's not necessarily like a reason that it's happening. It just kind of happens just to continue the runtime of the film. And this movie didn't really do that. There was, actual reasoning behind why they had to go off and do this and go off and do that. So one of the big strengths, I think, of the film was the humor. I think that is really consistent, and it had a good pace to it, much like the original 2009 film. There were parts where they did callbacks, and I think that they did it really tastefully. They didn't really go in your face about it. And even when they did bring up those things, it almost was brought up like a joke. It was even a point in the movie where the movie was almost making fun of itself. To me, if I was to point out any like weak parts of the film, I think that it would be more specifically the third act as a whole. Throughout the whole film, the writing and everything was really consistent, and it had a good flow to it, as well as how the scenes went down. But for some reason, once it got to the third act, that's basically like the stronghold of all the conflict. Little Rock's decision at the end of the movie, her motivations and everything, I feel like it wasn't as organic as it could have been. And I think it had to do with the amount of airtime she got. She didn't get as much as I would have thought she would have gotten in the movie. And yeah, there was just, the stakes were really low considering what was happening at the end. And I think that everything was solved like really quick. And so because of that, I feel that compared to how the rest of the movie was going, it just, for some reason, the flow was really cut short at the end of the film. And honestly, if I was to point out anything that could remedy that, it's nothing that an extra 15 minutes added to the movie couldn't fix. So if I had any final thoughts, I would say that considering this was in development hell for like the longest time, and it was able to be made and not feel forced, I think that that's very impressive. And the fact that, you know, the writing, the actor portrayals, and the direction style, I think that they all did a really good job and it came together very nicely. If you're somebody who has seen the original film, I think that you'll like this sequel. If you're somebody who's not familiar with this franchise, but you love zombies, I think that, of course, start with the original film, but I think once you get to this one, you'll very much find it refreshing. So with all that said, I'm going to give Zombieland Double Tap an A-. What's your favorite zombie film? Put it down in the comments below. As usual, if you like this video, subscribe, and thanks for watching.